What's up guys, Sub-Zero here, back with another VOD review. Today, we got something really cool. So, yesterday was the first day of the DSG Trials. If you guys aren't familiar with this, Disguised Toast, for part of his esports org, is doing like a big tournament basically, and whoever wins the entire tournament is going to get sponsored by Disguised, and they're going to get all their travel paid for to go to the Vegas LAN tourney. So, a ton of the top players in North America are competing to become one of a very few number of sponsored TFT players. So today we are watching Goobums, who is a very, very strong player in North America. Spoiler alert, so if you want to go in spoilerless, I don't know why you're watching a VOD review. In any case, spoiler alert, he actually did not make it to day 2 of the event, but he had some really, really cool games, and I think this game really, really showed a cool line that I think not too many people are actually familiar with. Also, so he tailors for his tome here, by the way. He plays this tailor here, which offers Demacia, Invoker, Multicaster, which you can't get, Shrima, Slayer, Noctis. Really, really nice tailor. The only one that you would be unhappy to get, as usual, is Invoker, and then everything else is really nice, and you can't get Multicaster. I think Invoker actually is as tailored, but he's offered Strategist, Challenger, and Juggernaut as his other options, and he opts to go for Strategist here, which I think makes good sense. You have solid AP items to play into, like, potentially a Strategist line, and you have this decent sort of like Demacia opener, which will play into Strategist, and he's just going to play Strongest Board. I was looking at this, like, you just slam Static Shiv, and you are ideally angling towards, like, a Azir angle. Just, regular Azir. He actually does this here. Yeah, I was curious about this. So he opts to put the Radiant item onto the Galio as opposed to the Sona. He thinks he actually needs the extra frontline as opposed to the extra cast from Sona, which I think makes reasonable sense. It is nerfed the Radiant Redemption, but he thinks he's going to do a lot better with better frontline. Also, the Radiant Redemption onto this frontline is going to do a lot onto this this 2-star Alawi that we have frontline. So yeah, as you can see here, he's already sort of building out this comp in his mind of like units to play around. Like this is what he wants to play around. So he wants to play around like a sort of Azir type board, but it's not actually like a very common Azir board that I think like everyone has seen before, right? Like you already sort of see like he's holding Multicasters on his board. He was playing Talia plus Sona, and then he was gonna fit like Demacia in as well, so just like the 2 Multicaster version. I think this was popularized by Dish Soap, who is like a big fan of this Sona unit. He's like, I'm just gonna put this Sona unit on like any board, and Dish was playing around like the Sona version of Azir, where you just put Sona next to Azir, and like it makes perfect sense, right? Sona gives Azir everything that Azir could ever want, this extra attack speed that lasts throughout the entire combat, which allows Azir to scale really long. So it's in theory a match made in heaven. It can just be a little bit hard to fit. You're not gonna be able to get in like the vertical Shrima type stuff. So yeah, we're gonna make 10 here. Hold on to the Cassiopeia and to the Kale. You can only hold on to either the Kale or the TF, and this way we also get to hold on to an extra Cassiopeia. What's our item component we have open here? We have Cloak open, right? Curious here. He goes for this belt. I think for 2 reasons actually. 1, because it's on a Swain, and 2, because it's going to be a solid frontline item. Because you wouldn't really expect to want belts here in most circumstances. I think like I would really be interested in maybe like completing this Declaw, which is just a really, really solid tank item, and in this comp you often need very, very solid tank items. But yeah, he's actually going to just pivot into this version of the board. 3 Bilge Water with 3 Strategist and 2 Multicaster. Really, really nice board here just to get us through the early game. So another thing about like playing into a lot of these units is that it's going to be very frustrating for a lot of the people who are trying to play Multicaster reroll. You get to deny all of these units from them. The Sonas, the Talias as well. Right now we're holding on to the TF, which you would expect that we would sell it later once we get more into our comp and get more into sort of like the vertical Strategist vertical Shrima side of it. But yeah, it can be very annoying for those players, which is helpful for us. Ideally we win this fight. I mean, ideally we win every fight, I guess, but this is a really crucial fight to win because it gives us some kind of streak going into neutrals. If we lose this, we're gonna have 0 streak, and we do win, so really, really nice. He's decided to hold on to this Galio here, by the way. What are the units that he sells here? Oh, he doesn't, like, his Galio, it's unlikely that we're actually going to pivot back into Demacia here. So yeah, I like to sell all these and then just hold the Shrima side for, like the potential high roll. Was that my phone, or was that a sound outside? I'm not actually 100% sure. Or like whatever, I'm gonna move my phone regardless, which I always put in the wrong spot, I'm sorry. But yeah, so right now we have a decent board, 88 HP, and 2 streak here. Not an amazing spot by any means, not super high roll or like super low roll. Oh my god, he ended up making a Darius 2 there. Is he going to hold on to this Darius? I would be interested in selling it. That's actually so unfortunate that it actually makes Darius 2 because he doesn't sell the units fast enough. You very rarely see that happen. Okay, so item priority here, actually. This is really interesting stuff. He decides to go for the Morellos here. This is sort of like BIS Sona when you're playing for like a multicaster board. I think a lot of people have realized recently like how important healing reduction is in the current meta. There's just a ton of units that heal, especially if you play into like these multicaster boards, like they always want a Gunblade, and you want like the Radiant Redemption on Galio, and you just Galio as a unit himself. Like there's a lot of healing in the meta. And then just, like a lot of carries, like Mordekaiser might get incidental healing from augments or just from items. Same thing with like Anila might get healing from augments. So we have to go for that. And okay, so let's talk about this decision as well, because I don't think this decision is that interesting. I don't think any of your options, like, if you wanted to play towards multicasters, you could take Silver Ticket here, but he doesn't actually want to play towards multicaster reroll because it's kind of awkward with the strategist +1. Like you'd much prefer another augment, and also his items don't really make sense for it. He's sort of like built the support items first. So I think it makes sense to reroll this. Healing Orbs are a really solid augment, especially when you have like a Gargoyles. You can just have this one really big frontliner and then heal it up a ton. So I like Healing Orbs a lot here. I don't really like any of the other options. So yeah, we're going to level in this spot here. Vel'Koz is a very natural addition here, but he does something that I think it makes sense in this spot to roll. I mean, look at his pairs, right? 1, 2, 3 really influential pairs, and he's actually going to roll here and find another pair. So now he has 4 really influential pairs. This is a textbook example of when to roll here. Now finds a Talia, which is another unit that like maybe he could roll for. Like it's a little bit awkward to fit in because you'd have to cut like Bilgewater somehow. So you probably aren't fitting this Talia in right now, but you want it for late game. Now he finds TF pairs, so he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 really influential pairs. Finds a Galio there, but has to skip it at this point, and he starts rolling. Finds the Vel'Koz 2, which is really big. Also finds Jarvan, which how do you actually do you just end up cutting Bilgewater at this point to get Jarvan in? Cut Bilgewater and get 4 strategists in, and then just put the Gargoyles on him, or you keep Bilge in. He's just gonna put it in over the over Bilge in general, but over the TF. So he loses multicaster, but he maintains like a strong front line here. So yeah, I could see it, I guess. I think you might even, I don't know. We'll see what his board ends up being. But yeah, like actually very unfortunate for him. He had to roll to 0 here, and now even more unfortunate, he fights Nikhil, who spiked. This is King Cracks back in the day for any, I don't know. It's a very niche. This guy is a little bit infamous on the NA server, but has almost sort of like rebranded as Nikhil. And yeah, we are going to end up getting out of the allow. We get into this 4 multicaster version of the board. And so yeah, we aren't going to play the MF. We're just going to play for 4 multicasters because that's a bigger spike, 4 multicasters versus 4 strategist, which makes a lot of sense. And now this is going to be our board. But like, we're broke, and because we fought a really strong player after they spiked, now we don't even have the win streak to get our econ back. So this is like, it looks like a pretty dire spot. The upside, the things that Goobums has going for him, really solid augments, really solid items, just very high quality items are made so far. He does need to find some carry items at some point in the game, because right now he's built support and tank items, so his board is going to have trouble doing damage late game. He doesn't end up taking belts here, which could be either a tank item or just like a guard breaker or carry. I'm leaning towards, in my head, it being a guard breaker. Yep, and we're just gonna make guard breaker on Vel'Koz here, and now we have some damage items. But yeah, the other thing is like, still with all that rolling we did, is still no 2-star unit except for Vel'Koz, which is actually crazy. But really smart by Goobums to realize he doesn't actually have to keep rolling on 6. I've seen, there's a VOD in my head that I'm remembering from a long time ago when I watched a Chinese player, someone really high elo on the Chinese ladder, play sort of a similar type line where he was playing 3-cost reroll actually, and he just rolled it to 0 basically here at 3-5 to try to find his upgrades. But Goobums knows that with these units, with how strong they are in the meta, and with the Healing Orbs combination with the Gargoyles here, and with all the support items he's built with 4 multicaster, this board can actually sustain in the current setup. Like, you can actually chill a little bit on this board, which is really cool. I think one thing that Goobums did insanely well this game is understanding how strong his board was, understanding when to roll and when to stop, because I think so many people here would actually get baited by the fact that you have all of these pairs and that you have to roll. But look, he's on a 3 streak without even having to roll here. So like, insanely well evaluated from Goobums here. Like, actually insane to realize that you don't need to roll there, and all of a sudden he's on a 3 streak. He's 40 gold, 81 HP. He's built back his streak. Imagine if he hadn't fought King Cracks Nikhil here, like he'd actually be on an 8 streak or something like that, 7 streak, and like the game would actually be in an insanely good spot. But now it's just like an okay spot. But yeah, opts to actually sell the MF there, which surprised me a little bit because I assume she'd be our next in here. Go 7 here, and you do definitely need to roll in this spot. Oh, but I guess our in kind of has to be this this Demacia unit, so that actually makes a lot of sense. He's gonna make tier. He's going to put a tier here onto the Vel'Koz for potentially some kind of tier item. I don't know. Like you still want to build towards Azir, I would say, in this setup, but we're sort of seeing evolve here a really interesting game plan for Goomums here, which is he's just going to tempo these multicasters the entire game. He doesn't actually need to play. Final Grab Bag looks amazing here, by the way, and none of your other options are very nice, but Final Grab Bag allows you to itemize your carries that like you really need items in this spot, and it helps repair your econ, which is really cool. Yeah, now this spot is actually really good. So yeah, he gets these items from Grab Bag, Tier, Sword, and Cloak. At this point, you just slam the blue buff. It's kind of weird, right? We don't actually have any Azir items, but it doesn't actually matter that we don't have any Azir items because we're not really playing Azir. We're playing tempo multicasters, which is a pretty cool variation of the comp. You know, I think most people, they get a multicasters opener, especially if they're like TF players, they say, okay, that means I have to play multicasters late game, right? You know, like I need to reroll for these multicasters, but Goobums actually just tempos it here, plays this pretty cool 4 multicaster, and eventually gonna be 4 multicaster, 4 strategist board, has the remover so we can just move items over to this Jarvan, who's gonna be our main tank. We natural Jarvan too, which is pretty fortunate, but also we rolled a lot, so like, I would say pretty reasonable to hit this. And now we can just look to start pushing levels. Also, this Healing Orbs has been insane value for this comp, just to actually give us some frontline, where like, you know, if we don't have Healing Orbs, like, wow, we would have no frontline in this comp, but Healing Orbs actually just heals the entire board up back to full, which is actually insane here. We have open Sword and that open Cloak here, so you could either go for like a Declaw here, or like maybe a Gunblade. Can't get either one. Oh, so I guess it's, I would think Giant Spell, yeah. So you just go Giant Spell here. And like eventually this can be like a Gnasher's Tooth, I guess. I don't really know what else we're looking to build out of this at this point. There was also the opportunity to slam like a BT, which would be okay on like a Nasus. The problem is we're actually like really looking for Jarvan items. We're probably not going to play around Nasus that much in this comp. We're just going to play the 2 Shurima with 4, maybe 5 strategists eventually. So like not actually getting deep into the into the Nasus. As you can see, like Nasus and Chop, we didn't even hold this because it's actually not going to fit into our board. Like it's actually really cool. Like maybe this is actually the strongest Azir board, which is kind of weird because it's not even that much of an Azir board. Maybe like late game we can pivot back into, like you see we have this Cassante and Chop, maybe late game we can pivot back into something else. As you can see, he's still cooking on this board. He's still trying to figure it out every second, like, okay, what unit do I play? Like what variation should I play based around the units that he's hit, and also just like what the best board is, because I don't know how many times Goobums has played this board. It's definitely not something I see people play a lot. Also, especially even just from Urf, right? I didn't really even touch on it, but he's playing Urf this game. A lot of people in this tournament are playing Urf, and it, I mean, makes a lot of sense with the strategist +1, right? Because if you can get to 4 or 5 strategists, the benefit becomes really huge. It scales up and up with more strategists you have, as most traits do. That's why verticals are good in TFT. But yeah, at this point, we're just going to look to build whatever our last 2 items are. Maybe we have to go double Guardbreaker here. No, we have potential JG. Yeah, I mean, these items actually work out quite well, right? This is like JG Nashers, and then hopefully like a Declaw or Gargoyle finish out on frontline. Yeah, Declaw, JG Nashers, I think makes perfect sense. Oh, he goes Gunblade, actually, over the JG. I know this JG item stinks, but wow, I'm surprised in this spot, with all this healing already, that you would go for Gunblade here. I mean, it's just, I don't know. There's got to be something that I don't understand with this JG item, because, like, it's got to be really good here with Guardbreaker, right? And you already have all the healing from Healing Orbs. Like, do you really even need the Gunblade? I mean, maybe. I don't know. Vel'Koz did infinite damage in this fight. Oh my god, he dealt 13k. Maybe it is just that. He also is going to get all of these items at this point from Yorick's Graveyard, which is the portal that we're in. I don't think I mentioned that. Yeah, I like Adaptive Helm Sona here a lot. I don't really like any of the other items that much. I guess you could start itemizing another tank like this Swain, but I think getting 3rd Sona item here makes perfect sense. And yeah, like you see, we're going to fight someone else who kind of did something similar, actually. They tried to tempo this comp, but looks like they maybe rolled more than us and they got stuck on level 7, so our board is way stronger than theirs. Also, we had these augments that allowed us to build back our econ, and look, 44 HP. Like, the entire lobby at this point is kind of dying. We can easily coast to a top 4, potentially, you know, like, we'll see how far we can actually go in this game. Rolling a little bit here because we don't have Sona 2. so at this point we're looking for Sona, we're looking for Azir, and we're looking for the Galio. Sona 2 is like the really big upgrade in this spot because we have all these items. Also, look at this positioning, by the way. I think it's anti-Quinn positioning because there's someone who's playing Slayers, I believe. So he doesn't put all of his units on the back row so that Quinn doesn't get like a huge ult against all of them. And it's, you know, good enough against people who want to AoE you because they're going to be attracted to the AoE on the right. It's actually like pretty nice anti-Quinn technology. Yeah, at this point, we're almost sort of becoming like starved for units to itemize. Like you could start putting items on TF at this point or itemize like a tank item. I'd probably just go for the Adaptive Helm, yeah, and just put it on. He's looking at Talia, actually. Talia over TF. And yeah, the Gunblade, Adaptive Helm, plus Gunblade. He's going to go for, yeah, and we can also still itemize Azir. So we have the Gunblade on Azir. Is it just double Nashers Azir? He goes for the Guardbreaker Azir for better scaling, like an actual, a way for your damage to scale. That's probably correct, yeah, instead of the double Nashers. But yeah, I mean, we have so many units on this board. It actually like ends up being a really, really smart board to play in this galaxy where we're getting all of these items because we have so many units to itemize, right? We have the Azir, we have the Vel'Koz, we have the Sona, we even have this TF and Talia if we need to late game, and then we only really need a little bit of tank because damage is tankiness on this board because of healing orbs, so we don't even really need to super itemize for tanks. We just itemize for as much damage as possible, and the healing orbs will get us there, which makes, I don't know, I think this is a really cool board to play and a really cool game where like I don't think you see people playing this type of setup very often, just sort of like the tempo multicasters into like Azir board. I think this is pretty uncommon, and you see like easy top 3. Another item here, let's see, that's AP and that's AD, so yeah, like the default looks pretty good here, and then just blue buff for Talia, yeah, just to get her to be casting a ton. Yeah, I like both of these items a lot. I mean, his item quality also, he has so many items, but his item quality is still quite high. Looking at potentially going 9 at this spot just to get the 5 strategist in. Another item here, we already have healing ducks, we don't really need Sunfire Cape. Maybe just a guard breaker for our backline. He's gonna go Edge of Night Talia. I think that makes actually a lot of sense. You don't really need the damage. This is just going to, it's almost in a weird way like another mana item. In that, you know, like it's going to allow Talia to last longer and get more casts off. So, like, we don't really need damage for Talia. We just need her to get as many casts off as possible. So, like, yeah, I think the Edge of Night makes perfect sense. And yet at this point, he's just trying to get to the next level to push level up. Yeah, Redemption looks really good here just to continue to scale with your board. And then, yeah, boom, 5 strategist. The issue is that Casper is 7 Demacia, and I believe he has 2 Demacia emblems. Wow, that's actually really smart. Just get the Kale in on 9, because we're level 9 here, so we get that, even if it's just a Kale 1, just the Kale effect on level 9 is going to be pretty solid. But yeah, the problem is that he's Petricite Shackles, and he has 2 Demacia spats, and he just went 9. So if he can get to 9 Demacia, this game is basically over. There's very few comps in the game right now that can beat 9 Demacia, and this comp, while very strong, very good tempo, I do not think is one that can get there, and boom, he ends up hitting the Poppy, and he needed like the Jarvan. Yes, his Jarvan's 1 star. He needed the Poppy and the Jarvan, and now he is a 9 Demacia, and I imagine this fight's going to swing very hard in the other direction now, where yeah, it's just impossible to get through this front line at this point. We're 44 HP, so we have a few fights, but yeah, it's looking pretty doomed. I don't know what you could even get off Carousel in this position. I don't know. I caught the end of this game on Frodan's co-stream. I'm pretty sure, yeah, Guven's just AFKs at this point. He like goes to the bathroom or something because he's like, I mean, there's nothing to do, right? It's actually just over for him. You know, we can watch a few of the last couple of fights, but no more decisions to be made because Guven's went AFK. So we can just watch the last few fights. But I mean, as you can see, the Demacia emblem onto the Mordekaiser Demacia emblem on the Aatrox as well. Like it's just not even anything. Oh, he does come back actually to build the Sona here, and he has an Ione emblem, but I don't think that's going to do anything for him. So one final fight, but once again, just like you can't position for this. There's just you just can't kill this Galio. Like this fight's not even close. But a really cool second from Goobums. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe, check out my Twitch and all my other links down below, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.